Joining us now, a great friend of this show, filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, great to see you as always back on Outsiders. Been lots happening. Just want to get your thoughts on this idea that Kamala might run again for president. And also, I guess, we also should talk about Steve Bannon suggesting that Trump himself may run for a third term and how that on earth that could play out. But let's kick off with Kamala Harris, Ami.
Yeah, I don't know why you're like snickering. Of course she's going to run. Obviously she's going to run. She decided not to run for the California governorship because she's planning on running. And by the way, she should be, because if you look at the way too early polls, of the last 10 polls, she's leading most of them. And the one she's not leading him, she's in second. And everyone is pretty far off outside of her. And it's really her and Gavin Newsom's race at this point. But I will say this is don't sleep on AOC. Now, she's not running that tight right now, not running that high in the polls, but she will be, because she is going to get the endorsement of Bernie Sanders. And let's not forget that Bernie Sanders, when he ran for he could have been the Democratic nominee instead of Biden. He ran off and won the first 3 primaries, right? And the only reason why he lost is because Congressman Jim Clyburn in South Carolina said, we can't have this, and he stepped on. He put his foot on the gas and got the people in South Carolina, the black voters, to vote against Bernie Sanders. Otherwise, we would have had Comrade Bernie as a Democratic nominee. And that just tells you where the Democratic Party is. Look, there's a guy running currently for the Senate of Maine who is trouncing his Democratic opponent, Graham Plattner, who A, has a Nazi tattoo across his chest, right? B, he is a member of the Socialist Rifle Association, okay? These are the people who arm Antifa. I've seen those people when I went to Seattle and Portland. He's a outspoken supporter of theirs, and joked on a text that he's got a picture of an Antifa super soldier on his armor. These are the people who are leading their races. These are not has-beens or wannabes, or these are people who have real political clout right now in the Democratic Party. So, yeah,
and also
definitely running.
Political clout is Zoran Mamdani in your beloved New York City. He's likely to be the next mayor. It's not a done deal yet, but he's there. But at the same time, we've got New Jersey right next door. Could New Jersey become a red state? The polls there are very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, Mamdani has been, New Jersey has been flirting with becoming a purple state. And we've seen numbers over and over again showing they are moving that direction. And frankly, I got to be honest, I think that may be a direct result of how left New York City is doing. Right? Saying, hey, guys, you can come here. You know, I know Mamdani says his #1 issue is the housing crisis. Well, you know what's a great way to solve the housing crisis? When everyone leaves New York, all the apartments will be open.
But James,
Mamdani is going to... Yeah, go ahead.
No, you carry on, Ami.
Oh, well, yeah, I was just going to say... go ahead, yes.
No, James, you go.
Well, so sorry, I just wanted to pick you up on the point about Mamdani, because he has been saying some more and more extreme things, including a few days ago, he was saying that, you know, on 9/11, after 9/11, the big problem was that his aunt felt unsafe wearing her hijab on the subway. Now, I'm glad that we finally figured out who the real victim of 9/11 was here, but if Mamdani comes into New York, and I lived through the really bad days of the Dinkins administration, I imagine that it's going to be even worse than that. The economics, the defund the police stuff, the real succor that he seems to give to people who are, let's just say, not the biggest friends of Israel, really terrifies me about the direction that this really important city is going to go. And is this now the direction that the Democratic Party is going to go with its AOCs and this whole generation of young, hard-left politicians who are trying to clear out the old guard of the people who, by relative terms, look like absolute conservatives?
Well, you said it. This is not conjecture. We have an absolute roadmap on what can happen to New York City when you have these type of mayors. And you said it right. Look, the 70s and the 80s were post-apocalyptic. if you went to New York City, if you're watching, I just saw a movie from the 70s in my hotel room, and it looks insane. It looks like a bomb went off, right? It looks scary. Yeah, this is exactly what can happen. You talk about Mamdani and you talk about 9/11. I mean, why no one outside the conservative media has been talking about the fact that he took a picture grinning and smiling like an idiot with a man who's an unindicted co-conspirator of the 93 World Trade Center bombing. And something even more bizarre than that is that I looked it up. CNN and the New York Times didn't run a single article about it, okay? But this is really not, will he be, early voting has started. Early voting has already started. This is now a fait accompli. The wise guys in Vegas, they have it up to above 80 to 90%, depending who you're looking at. Curtis Lewa doubled down on not backing down, so thank you, Curtis, for that. Look, I happen to think Curtis has another motivation, frankly, if I'm being really cynical and honest. I think Curtis has no intention of dropping out because he wants Mamdani to win, because then he becomes relevant again. Look, he became relevant during the 70s and 80s that you were talking about, when you couldn't walk on a subway without knowing if you're going to be mugged or not. I'm afraid to, I don't want to say it. I like Curtis, but I think that's kind of the play here. And unfortunately, that's going to elect Mamdani as the next mayor of New York. And by the way, Hakeem Jeffries just came out in support of him. This is the highest ranking House member, is now supporting a Marxist.
Scary times ahead. Ami Horowitz, great to chat to you as always. Thanks so much for coming on Outsiders, and we'll chat again soon.